Project Hail Mary is officially the biggest sci-fi movie of 2026. Ryan Gosling is great, the visuals are insane, but as an aerospace student, I noticed a few things that don't quite add up. Today, we're looking at the science gaps, things the movie left out and how the book has so much more realism to it. But before I start, I have the question for you. What would you do if you encountered an alien? Drop it in the comments. Just a quick recap. Ryland Grace, or Ryan Gosling, wakes up on a spaceship called the Hail Mary with total amnesia and two dead crewmates. He has no idea who he is, but a robot is forcing him to do science experiments just to prove he's not brain dead. As his memory returns, he remembers he's not an astronaut. He's a middle school science teacher. He was recruited by a temporary world dictator named Eva Strat because he's a genius in microbiology. The sun is currently eaten by microscopic space cells called astrophage. It is draining the sun's energy, and Earth is about to enter a permanent ice age because of it. The Hail Mary was sent to Tau Ceti, the only star in the neighborhood that isn't being eaten by the macrophages, and humans need to find out why it's not happening. Grace realizes he's on a one-way mission. There isn't enough fuel to get home. But he's not alone. He meets Rocky, the only alien engineer from another star system who's there for the exact same reason, and he's the best character in the whole movie. The two space bros have to use their physics, chemistry, and high-speed math to find a way to kill the astrophage and save both their home planets before life runs out. The movie treats astrophage like a magic battery. You heat it up, it stores energy, and boom, you now have super fuel. In the book, Andy Weir explains that the astrophage uses mass energy conversion, but the movie skips the super cross-sectionality theory in the book. In the book, the super cross-sectionality theory is the ability of the alien organism, or the astrophage, to interact with neutrinos, light, and energy at a level that stops all radiation, including neutrinos, from passing through. In real physics, a cell that small couldn't actually absorb every wavelength of light, including neutrinos. It violates the laws of thermodynamics. The movie and book says the astrophage absorbs everything, from tiny gamma rays to massive radio waves. For a tiny cell to catch a radio wave is like a hummingbird trying to catch a freight train. That's why interstellar radio waves are caught with giant disks. It's just too small to interact with the momentum of the giant wave. And to catch a neutrino, you need a detector the size of a football stadium buried under a mountain, like the Ice Cube Observatory. This is to prevent other waves from interacting with your detector. The movie logic is the astrophage catches neutrinos and light to store energy. In reality, if a cell could catch a neutrino, it would be the most dense, powerful substance in the known universe, similar to a black hole. This is the biggest discrepancy between the two. In the book, the big moment is when Grace realizes Rocky's planet doesn't understand radiation or relativity. His planet eyeballed the math to get to Tau Ceti, and he's been waiting there for decades because he didn't account for time dilation. The movie waves this information in a seemingly simple feat. It implies he's only been there for a short time. By skipping the relativity talk, the movie loses the skill of how impressive and lucky Rocky's species actually was to make it there at all. Because Rocky's planet had a super thick atmosphere of ammonia, they had never seen stars. They don't know about gravity on a galactic scale or how light moves. The impressive part is Rocky didn't use a GPS or a star map. He used pure momentum and sound. He pointed his ship where he thought the light was coming from and just kept burning the engines. Remember, his species is blind. instead listening with echolocation. To calculate exactly how much time slows down, engineers use the Lorentz factor. The trip to Tau Ceti is roughly 12 light years away. And if we input the values into this equation, we get that 1 year on Grace's ship is 2.56 years on Earth. Because they're moving so fast, the distance actually contracts, and their clocks tick slower. The trip feels like roughly 4 to 5 years. Earth sees the ship traveling at 92% light speed. To them, the trip takes 13 years. In the book, Grace realizes that by the time he's finished his mission and spends his time working with Rocky, 25 to 30 years might have passed on Earth. His students would be middle aged adults with a job, family, and paying taxes. The book treats it like a cold mathematical fact of the universe. But the movie plays this for emotion, but doesn't really go over the gravity of this situation. Remember to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. Why is Ryland Grace on the ship? The movie says he's just brave, but the book is far more brutal. The middle school teacher is special. There is a specific coma resistant gene that only a few humans have. If you don't have it, the life support machine will accidentally kill you during the long trip. Grace didn't volunteer because he was a hero. He was kidnapped because he was one of the only people with the right DNA. The movie makes him a chosen one for his personality and knowledge, while the book makes him a chosen one for his biology. This changes the emotion of the beginning of the film, but still reaches a similar result at the end. How did they get enough fuel? In the movie, it kind of just appears. The book spends chapters explaining the Black Panel Project, in which they paved the entire Sahara Desert with black tiles to breed the astrophage using solar energy. It was the largest engineering project in human history, with the involvement of every nation in the planet, leading to the limited fuel used to travel to the nearby system. The movie skips this, which makes the save the world effort feel a lot easier than it actually was. Instead, opting for a worldwide effort, it simply changed it to a simple factory solution. Even with the gaps in the movie, Project Hail Mary is a 10 out of 10 for inspiration. It shows that science is the ultimate superpower. You got this.